curtain's about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you're gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. I think that intro went out. I'm not positive now that I think about it, but hopefully it did. And hopefully you guys are happy to be here. We are on to episode number 10.8, Why Flat Earthers Exist. We should be going through a list of all the many of reasons that flat earthers exist, and they are many. And we can start out with the great moon landing that happened this week. But let's say hi to everybody first. We got Zachary Zabala. Good times for all. Zach, what's up?
Hey, Jeran. Always a pleasure to be here, man. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about is why flat earthers exist. And, you know, some people will say, well, yeah, there's just crazy people out there, but it's not that we just exist. It's that we're expanding and growing at crazy rates.
And why it won't go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I think that people in the science world think that this is just going to go away, and they don't realize why it's not and why it's going to continue to grow. And there's a lot of reasons. We'll go through those, but we also got Austin Witsit Gets It with us. Austin, ¿cómo estás?
How's it going, brother?
Doing fantastic. Yourself?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Enjoyed your...
We landed on the moon, man. I mean, it's got to be a good day.
For sure. Who could argue with that? Especially when you get, beautiful pictures like this one. This is, oh, never mind. I can't show you right now. Go ahead, Austin. What were you saying?
I'm just saying, I mean, I feel like a patriot, so I'm having a good week.
Better than when we got Bin Laden, right?
Oh, there's nothing better than that.
It's almost as good as that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great, though. I mean, that's a nice little picture. Of course, they have no pictures, but I want to show you something real quick. This is a video by Fraser Kane, and I just wanted to point out something real quick. So, first of all, if anybody saw the beginning of this so-called landing and how it was the least exciting thing you've ever seen, just look at how this guy starts out this video. It's so, I mean, this is one of the reasons is because when you've got Globers who act like this, what do you expect from people? Like anybody who's a real human being would look at that landing and say like, oh, it was a joke. It was anticlimactic. There was no footage. There's no video. But watch what these guys start out by saying at the beginning of their little...
Fully on the moon. China is planning to build bricks on the lunar surface. James Webb finds the neutron star at the heart of supernova 1987A, and Blue Origin finally rolls out New Glenn. All this and more in this week's Space Bites. So the first big story was the successful landing of Intuitive Machines' Odysseus lander. And this was one of the most thrilling, action-packed landings I have been watching in many years of this. So what happened?
What are you talking about? How is that thrilling? How is it action-packed? How is it exciting? Like, it's just lies. It's just lies. But I wanted to show you this one comment here that's kind of funny. Well, I did like this guy's comment. At least people are waking up. This guy says, I think this is why people question the Apollo moon landings. The live feed implied that the spacecraft may have been lost, but then the mission commander said, we're not dead yet. Next, they said they picked up a weak signal and they were trying to establish contact and would stay live as long as it takes. Then the broadcast abruptly switched to Bill Nelson and the broadcasters declaring complete success and everything is fine. Basically contradicting what the mission commander was saying just before they abruptly cut the live stream. A post this morning saying everything is perfect, but almost 24 hours later, as of this post, still no pictures. I don't question Apollo or the moon landings, but after watching this stream yesterday, I can understand why many do. This was one big trust me, bro. So I thought that was interesting that people are starting to kind of get it. But then I saw somebody in here, if I can find it now. He was saying that he understood, maybe it was in here. Maybe it was one of the replies. Look at this guy's reply. And this is the problem with the world. So this guy says, and see if you get what I get out of this. He says, it's just a problem with the public and the media. They have to get it out ahead and say it was a success, because if they say they don't know, then it will stay as a don't know forever, regardless of more information confirming and disproving success the next day. Every second that passed was another second a denier was going to go, see, they failed. We can never and have never gotten to the moon. I can fully understand the position the presenters were in, along with the engineers and tech leads. Do you know what he's saying? He's saying that because deniers were going to claim that it didn't happen, that they had to say it was a success. Even if they didn't.
It's so horrible.
It's so horrible. It's like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, how does somebody not type that in and realize what they're saying? They're basically just saying, well, because deniers exist, we must lie and say we got to the moon even if we didn't. Because if we didn't get there, well, then we're just going to have deniers saying we can not get there and we never went there. So it's better to fake it. So, I mean, there's people, I think, what percentage of people would rather them fake it than to admit they never went? There's a percentage of people and it's probably high.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeran. There's something in people that allows them to do this. Like the ends justify the means.
That's it. Yeah. Yep. That's it. I do.
And it doesn't for me.
No.
I can't do that. Like when I was reading Sun Tzu's Art of War,
That's
and
terrible.
I only got like right into the beginning, and it says, well, yeah, some troops you're going to have to treat like cattle. You're going to have to send people into their death that every single one of them is going to die. You have to be able to do that. And I was like, well, I put the book down. It's like, I'm never going to be a general.
Well, and that's why psychopaths are the ones that end up in charge.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting talk going on. I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard the back and forth between Brian Young from High Impact Flicks and Owen Benjamin? So they had a debate about anarchy and whether or not, because Brian Young's a big anarchist and then Owen Benjamin's kind of a little bit of a statist. But I didn't agree with necessarily the way Owen took the conversation, but I do agree with Owen that you'll always have government. Like we really shouldn't be going for that ideal of, there can be no government. No, there'll always be somebody in charge. It doesn't matter if we have 5 families and we're a little close-knit group. Somebody's going to be in charge. Then there's going to be rules. There's rules because, for instance, we discriminate against children, right? Every day. Every day we don't let them drive. We don't let them drink. We don't let them go to bars. We don't let them buy cigarettes. Well, aren't we discriminating against? Yes, we are, because we've chosen to have those rules. So you always have to have rules. It's just like Owen kept asking Brian Young. He kept saying, well, what's the age of consent then? And then if Brian gave an age, he would follow that up with, well, who made that rule? Because this is the thing. You can't just say anarchy and everybody will just get along and be good and that'll never happen. It just is an ideal that will never happen. But it
works in a perfect world where there are no humans. If you have robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it works. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just, you're always going to have somebody who's going to take advantage of the system. So you're going to always have rules. Now, granted, the government's gotten ridiculously too big, and the usurpations that the founders of this country were so upset about, or we're way past that. So we're way past the point that they were at last time when they had to basically start a new government and abolish the old one. So I think we're at that place, to be honest with you. But again, I'm going to have trouble doing it myself. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be a little bit difficult. I was going to bring this up real quick. So we are on YouTube for the first half, and then we'll head over to Rockfin. If you're not a member over there, you should try it out. We've got a whole bunch of creators over there. It's $15 a month, and you get every video from everybody. And also we have started using, if I can get this to work, we'll see. Started using, and did you tell me how to pronounce it, Austin? You pronounce it so I can learn.
It's Kofi.
Kofi, okay. Kofi.
Even though it's got a coffee cup.
Yeah, well, I thought it was coffee. Okay. And I think I said
It's Kofi. It's Kofi. The people there call it Kofi.
All right. So Kofi, it's ko.fi.com/GLOBEBUSTERS. What?
ko-fi.
Yes, ko-fi.com/GLOBEBUSTERS if you want to support the show. And we've got a little counter on the screen of a $200 goal, which would be awesome for today. So, and that's not very much. How many people are watching? There's probably more than that. So if everybody gives $1, look, it will be done in 4 minutes. So go ahead and
also the first link in the description, and then we'll pin it in the chat.
Say again.
It's also the first link in the description, and we'll pin it in the chat.
And I believe if you donate, I've never seen it happen, but if you donate, then I think you can leave a message, and then it will pop up on the screen if we've got this set correctly.
Well,
so we'll see.
That they donated will pop up on the screen. You'll have to read the message.
Then I go to the page to read the message.
Yeah,
I think you can have it appear on the screen, to be honest with you. But
I haven't figured that out.
Okay, yeah, I'll show you because I did it on mine the other day.
To actually show the message?
Yeah, so because you can put in parameters, there's that little thing that says so and so, and then there's like little brackets. You can put, one of them is message, I think.
Oh, what?
I think so. I'm not positive. Well,
yeah, it is. You can make placeholders from your new nation, from your name, message, amount.
Right. So just retype that thing out below there, like that thanks to blank name for the amount, and then here's your message or whatever. I think that should work. I don't know if you have to change the URL. Anyway, let's
try it. Thanks.
Yeah, you try it and see what happens. No, I don't know. You write it. Say to everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being here. Who do we got here? And we will get going. How's the audience going?
Big shout out to TJ Maxon over on Rockfin. $5 super chat. He said, this is one of the first times catching it live. Well, awesome. Welcome to the live show, TJ.
Nice. Welcome. And let me pop out this chat and see what we got over here.
I feel so stupid because that's why I didn't like it, because you couldn't
see the message.
Do the message.
Yeah, I think you could just add it there. We've got Taking Back Eden. Thank you very much for a $2 super chat to get us started. 10 Commandments, Parables, J equals protection, freedom, and fun. All right. I like it. Who do we got here? I did see Matthew D. Gregorio. Tony Coriolis in the house says, I still loosely question the founders. Well, you have to question everything. I mean, at this point, that's a part of it is that, I mean, I do think that the Bill of Rights is good. I mean, as long as you stick to it and you don't have things taken out. I mean, I think it's Amendment 14 or something is that there's to be no standing army in the United States, and they took it out because.
Yeah, well, no, they get around it because as long as we're in a time of war, they're allowed to have a standing army. We've just always been at war with somebody somewhere.
Yeah. It's and again, I don't want people to think I'm a statist. I'm certainly not. I just recognize that I just think we need smaller groups, small cities with local governments, and once it gets too big, well, then what happens is you have psychopaths that rise to the top because only those
Trudeau,
only those who really want power would end up, going after it. And then once you're in power, then guess what? You want to stay in power if you're a psychopath. So it gets so bad that you start orchestrating events so that you stay in power. And that's the point that we're at now. These people have to, in order to stay in power, because imagine if the government brought everybody together, what's the first thing that would you not need anymore? You don't need government. So the government's not going to.
I agree with Owen here. Like, it's not feasible. It's idealistic. It's utopic.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's utopic. It sounds cool, but it relies on, like, for one, agreed upon parameters of morality. So an acknowledgement of objective morality, and then the gray areas being somewhat agreed upon, and then people actually caring to adhere to those.
Right.
So, like, you have to have. So anarchy means no ruler. So you have to have rules, though.
Right, and whoever's in charge of making the rules,
who enforces them or changes them with the times.
You could say you privately enforce it, but you're going to have to actually delineate the rules.
Right.
You still have to have rules. I mean, even in the idealistic sense. But even if that was to work, and ideally it could work, but then everyone would have to, actually be like good people. Like you actually need people to be good. I think it's it gets crazy if people are not good.
Well, yeah, this is why communism has never worked throughout history. Because it relies on
anarchy,
people,
though, right? I mean, that's
well, no, but I mean, it's a system that on paper looks beautiful. It's this fair for everyone. Everybody's equal. Everybody has all that. But then you get people involved, and it doesn't ever work out that way. Yeah,
I'm saying it's idealistically, I'd be an anarcho-capitalist, or I would say. Yeah, like anarcho-capitalist. Idealistically, realistically, and feasibly, I would be local government and very limited power.
Yeah,
so
the same way, for sure.
That's what. And if there's a federal government, just super limited, so because inevitably it becomes corrupt. But like, what can it do if it doesn't have much power?
I know
that's
the stuff.
I think
the stuff they're doing in Canada right now. I was listening to one of the people under Trudeau talk about children and children's rights that they have from their parents, and how it's the government's job to uphold the children's rights.
Right. That's why they do this thing now. They'll take your kid away if you don't give them the gender-changing surgery they want. Whatever. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Wow, insanity, man.
So, Austin, it says here, I see a chat from Kofi, and it says, thanks to name for amount yo-yo.
Oh, so it did show the message.
You did the yo-yo?
No, I put message. No, like someone said yo-yo.
Okay, but their name and amount didn't come out.
It actually says name and amount?
Yeah, look at the chat. It says, thanks to bracket name for bracket amount, then it says yo-yo.
Oh.
So you'll have to tell me who it is, because you can probably look in the back room. I can't.
What?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
live.
we'll fix it.
Like,
we'll fix it. I don't think we have to do it live. So yeah, what got me on this conversation? When did you have that conversation with Blitz PD or Blitz PhD?
A couple days ago.
Okay.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, I was listening to it last night, and Austin was talking to that guy Blitz PhD who did the debate we had with who was it? Austin, Derek, and Caleb against him and McGlobeface and somebody else. And I just thought it was a good conversation. But again, it's like these guys don't really get it. But the whole kind of premise of it is why do flat earthers exist? So is that what got you on his show, or how did that come to be? I was just wondering.
Well, JT's like everywhere in the ether at once, and he always messages me, and he's like,
Who is JT? Sorry.
what's those live? Run Boston.
Okay.
So he messaged me. He's like, so and so's live. You should jump on there. So I'm like, all right, I will in a sec. I just jumped on, and ironically, I went on there. Justin Harvey was on there before me, and then he's talking about how he smoked me in debates, and I'm woefully ignorant of science and physics and all this stuff, and then sung a totally different tune when I'm up there. But I intentionally tried to keep it super, super cool and nice, just to like.
Yeah, I can tell.
show.
It's a good thing. We have that skill. I know people think of it as something different than what it is, but we're just trying to.
See, I don't. That's why I don't do it.
I wanted people to hear, like, wait a minute, it's hard to dislike this flat earther, and he's making valid points,
Right.
right? Like because they want to paint this narrative. That's why I started with the anti-Semitic thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always want to bring that up, and it's they always got to look for some reason that they can't believe that flat earthers exist. But I think you were telling them perfectly that, I mean, first of all, the fact that we've shown that every time the mainstream media, thank you to up now, let's play 25K Flat Earth Pyramid. Thank you very much. But yes, the name and amount is not working for some reason.
All right. It may work now.
Okay, we'll try the next
read
one.
off who it was.
And I believe it
just
was
so
Tony
we can get
Coriolis,
one.
right?
Okay, so Tony Coriolis sent the first one. Yo, for $10. Shout out to you. Thank you, man. Yo. He must want us to rap. And then God Supremacist, $25 tip. Let's play 25K for Flat Earth Pyramid.
Nice.
I don't know that, but thank you for the support, brother.
Thank you very much. We
All right,
appreciate
now
that.
I'm gonna donate $5 and see if it works this time.
Okay. We'll see if
Big
it's
shout
his
out
name.
to Real Mosaic at yahoo.com
So
over on Rockfin. $10 super chat.
Thank you very much.
So much.
What'd you say his name was?
It says Real Mosaic at yahoo.com, Windsor Clive.
I wonder why I've never seen that name.
No,
Somebody
it's
new.
weird too. It shows up as like, it shows their the yahoo.com in a different color and then has a name after it in gray. I've never seen that over here on Rockfin.
No.
And TJ Maskin with another $10
Thank you,
says, my
TJ.
beautiful girlfriend Amy would like a shout out too, please.
Shout out to
She
Amy.
has recently awakened to where we live and all the deception of the world.
Amy, welcome to
Works.
reality.
It works.
Where? Let me
Thanks
see.
to GLOBEBUSTERS for $5. We landed on the moon, baby. Patriotism. You see it?
That's classic. All right,
America.
it's working. It looks like it's working. That's cool. All right. So then it comes up, and I did see it pop up on the screen. There's another one. Thanks to that's you. Thanks to GLOBEBUSTERS for $5. We landed on the moon. Baby patriotism. Nice. Very nice. If Owen wanted money, he would have stayed in Hollywood. You dupes. Who says? Yeah. I mean, I don't. Owen's his own person. But that's why I like Owen, because Owen's just going to say what's on his mind, and that's all I want from people. Just say what's on your mind. Come on. I mean, again, do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I agree with a lot? No, not really. But I mean, it's like, to me, just be your own person and say how you feel. And I mean, he's got some things he said recently that people got so upset at. But I don't know. He was did you hear him telling black people to apologize? And even people, but people hear that and they're like very standoffish, right? And then he's like, "No, listen." And when he explains it, you're like, "Well," he's like, "When we apologize, like white people apologize for keeping slaves, or white people might, but it's because they recognize that they've done wrong, right? When you apologize to somebody, you're recognizing that what you're doing is not correct in society, and so that's why you're saying you're sorry and that you want to change." But he's like, "Why don't they ever say they're sorry for the things that they're doing or the way they're not sorry?" He's like, that's the thing. So he's like, isn't that a problem? And it's a good point. Sometimes, these guys like robbing everything in California, walking into Neiman Marcus and walking into these stores and they'll go straight to the shelves of Walgreens and just dump shelves into the bag. And I don't think that, I think that they don't think it's wrong. Like, they know it's
No
against the
remorse
law.
whatsoever.
Right. They know it's against the law, but they're not thinking it's like, oh, what I'm doing is bad. Whereas if I went over and started dumping a shelf into a bag, and the first feeling I'm going to have is, this is wrong. Right. I'm not supposed to be doing this. And it's not just a matter of because it's the law. It's because it's not my stuff. I'm not, But anyway, I mean, he just gets in a lot of trouble for things he says, or he wanted to buy aborted black babies rather than have them aborted. He would buy them and put them to work on his farm. I mean, he says things like that. And I mean, and then you get into this thing. Well, what's better? Are you guys saying that it's better if you kill the baby than if he buys them and puts them on his farm? So he's just a funny guy. It brings up some interesting.
So Twitter pulled him through. They gave him his old amount, right? And so like his old total. Yeah. So he's got now he just goes off. A lot of followers.
I'm surprised he still let him on there, but I guess they're really sticking to free speech. They gave me my account back after a year, which is crazy. So
There's only a few people they're not though. So Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, that's one.
What's up with that?
I don't know. They gave what's his name his account back too.
Alex Jones.
Well, you know what the weirdest thing about Nick Fuentes is though, that I mean, I don't know. I think that guy he definitely was on stream like egging people on to go to the Capitol and that kind of thing, and he didn't get in trouble for it at all. But the people who listened to him did. It's kind of weird. Just kind of weird that he didn't get in any trouble at all. Look what happened to Owen
I don't
Schroeder.
think he was telling him to actually run up in the blaze or anything, though, right?
I'll have to listen to it again.
I will say, if you give Nick Fuentes a chance, you're going to realize like he's actually just makes very good points, and people don't like it. He had a beef with Owen too. It was like weird.
Owen has a lot of weird beefs. If you think about
it was like basically like you took my stick or something. Give your props. You know what I'm saying? But like he says a lot of true things. Fresh and Fit had him on.
Oh, I haven't heard that episode.
They talked about Zionism, and obviously they just went to Rumble only. But it's weird they don't let him on. There's a few people that they're not letting on, and it's like this is not adding up. Because if you look at X now, bro, you can say a lot of stuff. People say whatever they want to on there, which is cool.
Yeah, I like it. I believe in free speech, and if people don't like it, then don't read that person's feed. You can hit block or whatever, and it goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not too hard to do.
Whatever happened to sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, that's long gone now. Words will definitely hurt you.
You can finally talk about race again.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it not as big of a deal, honestly.
It does.
Yeah, I think anytime you restrict people from something or you don't allow them, then that just breeds it. It's just more and more.
I tried to tell Blitz that. I tried to tell Blitz that. I was like, it's funny because I got him to concede a lot. I was mental resisting him, right? First of all, he conceded the Earth's flat, by the way, because he said that the whole sun would have to be refracted up. That was a trick question. Okay, well that's not possible because then that sunset would be proportionately that much longer. So that's a you problem.
Here's another thing that I think that, and I think Dave Weiss says it best, but it needs to be explained better. But the idea of, because he was talking about when the sun goes away, we would be able to see it longer, right? But the fact is that we know that the sun gets blocked by clouds, right? The sun can be there and then it be not seen because a cloud is in front of it. Okay, we know that. So if we know that the clouds at the horizon are at the height that they are normally, they look at the horizon, but they're not there. They're actually up in the sky. Well, then when the sun goes past those clouds, imagine after it goes 100, 200, 300, 400 miles, think of how far that is away from you. And then it's got multiple clouds in front of you. So the fact that it gets blocked out it should be expected. That's where.
And it's not just hundreds. Don't we see the sun for thousands of miles?
Well, I think that's because of how high it is.
Look, have you guys found out so I don't know if you guys have heard, right? But we've mapped out, there's the 1 degree per 60 nautical mile relationship between the sky and the ground.
Right.
And they say, that's the Earth curving. And that's only possible on a curved Earth because there's a linear relationship, which just means that it's 1 degree every 60 nautical miles over and over and over, right? It's linear.
Right.
And that's not possible on a flat Earth. And like, they're not wrong. Actually, mathematically, you can't map that out on a flat Earth just with straight direct angles from the ground or whatever. It wouldn't work out. But then you find out that they actually say for celestial navigation, don't take any of the measurements below 15 degrees, and it's not really reliable above 70 degrees or so. So they pulled this little section out that would effectively be linear, even if it was actually curved visual space or logarithmic, right? Like if the ratio actually changed, you wouldn't know because you say just pick out this section. And so long story short, if you take their claimed curvature rate of the Earth and you realize that you have a personal dome, you can absolutely do celestial navigation the same thing. They took the fact that we see curved. Anyway, all that to say, so I started taking this idea, and I had this little dome, and I can drop the video, but I've taken a flashlight on my phone, and I hold it at the same height above the dome. Now, it's like a flat Earth model with a dome, right? But it's representing our personal dome, just to prove a concept, right?
Right.
You take the light over the dome, and even though you keep it the same height, it arcs up from horizon to horizon, right? And then it practically doesn't change angular size. And if you slightly move it in a circle, so like if the sun moves in a circle over top of the flat Earth, but you only see a portion of it in a little personal dome, it's practically going to go straight over your head, but if it's curving overall, it'll slightly curve, right? Like you're only going to see a small little part of the path. You see what I'm saying? So like it's slightly curving. When you do that over the dome, it does the same exact thing we see in reality. It sets just off of west.
Right.
And so if you had a sun and then you had a personal dome, then it would look like the sun is arcing up from horizon over your head back down to the other horizon, and it would dip off of west just a little bit if it was circling over a flat Earth, and it wouldn't change angular size much. So it's like, oh, it's like exactly what we see. And I did it with like a physical dome.
You have the little half paperweight, right?
So
you have that little half paperweight. Is that what you're talking about? The little half dome paperweight?
A little bigger than that. I'll show you the video. I'll send it to you in Telegram. It's it's like a flat model.
Because I saw him talking about, he was doing this ray tracing, and he was saying that he couldn't figure out how to get the sun to. But we've already shown that, like, if you take this, I just put this here, and then I'm going to put a light source, which is a point source of, what does this one say? God, I got a broken monitor. I can't. Oh yeah, there we go. 360. So when you do this, and then you go with the extended rays. So you see, I put the light outside the dome, and so it's basically bouncing off. But if I go with a where's the extended rays light source? Hold on 1 second. Let me get the extended rays point source. Oh, right here. Brightness. Here we go. Ray density. No, where do you go with the extended rays? Somewhere in here. There we go. So you'll see that there is a sun, and that sun sets when you head off in this direction, right? So if this sun was going across us, and each person has their own dome, which is how we see, that's just required, then you would get this, basically you would see the sun here. And this is why it's in an apparent position. This is why it can't be really tracked. Like, now what Austin's saying, and Austin, if I understand this correctly, is that they took the curved sky and made it the Earth that's curved. Correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then took,
that's what they did, yeah.
And then took the flat ground and moved it into the sky. Explain how that would work, though.
Okay, so you would use Euclidean geometry, which is plane geometry at straight lines,
right,
to accurately describe the Earth, because the Earth is a plane, topographical plane.
Right.
And then you would use non-Euclidean geometry, like curved visual space, to describe the sky, because we have a limit. So like if you can see, it's the same thing they say in their model, by the way, right? They say there's an edge of the visible universe, 46 billion light years away. So you can see 46 billion light years in all directions, right?
Right.
So that gives you a circle. If you look up, it's going to give you a dome. It's the same thing, only we're not insane people, so we're not going to say anything about 46 billion light years. It's maybe 4,000 miles or something.
I like when you told him we can't see forever. He's like, why not?
yeah.
Why not?
So if you see 4,000 miles,
I think you said because I'm not insane or something.
Yeah, it is crazy. Then you just have a circle around you and you have a dome, right? And so then to actually map that out, you're gonna have to account for the curvature. What happens is things get to that limit, they're gonna start compressing and converging into that limit, just like we see in reality in all situations, right? Well, so it's a plane geometry for the Earth. It's a non-Euclidean geometry for the sky. They flipped it. They used perspective as Euclidean, straight lines, and then they treat the Earth as if it's curving. They just flipped it around. Right. And it works perfectly, right? I mean, that's how they made the globe. So of course it's going to match, because that's where they got the stuff for the globe.
Well, that's what's so weird about when people say, like, but it works. It's like, yeah, that's why it's a deception. If it didn't work, nobody would be deceived. So the fact that their math works, as you kept saying, well, the math works out, right? Well, yes, that has to be part of the deception. Now, there's going to be some errors maybe in there and some things they hide, kind of like we talk about with the sun setting in the south. And, well, right now, as we head towards June and July, everyone on Earth is increasing their time after sunset, their twilight. Now, that's just not told to anybody. It's just lied about because that's something that doesn't fit and the math doesn't work. So those are the things I think we have to really do a good job of exposing and bringing out to the public is, hey, these things are not working. One of those things being measurement of curvature, which is why it's so weird that when you talk about why we have flat earthers, how about because we have Stephen Hawking, who is supposed to be a mainstream physicist and one of the smartest men that there is. And so he's going to be behind some television program that's going to prove the curvature of the earth to you. And they do it by inserting a CGI helicopter or using trick photography. There's a problem there. Now, if it was just one thing, okay, maybe, but no, it's, National Geographic.
Like really bad. Like,
yeah, I'll actually show
we're
it
not
just to
going to
show
change
again
the video. We're just going to add this in and you're not going to notice.
Yeah, it's just really bad. It's like, and that's the worst thing you would do if you're, and anybody who's in science or involved in it at all, they should tell you, oh no, the last thing you can ever do is fake something when you're science, right? That's why the whole Piltdown Man thing and the evolutionary hoaxes and that stuff is a problem, because really this is why there's flat earthers. Is if it wasn't for this obvious attempt by science to keep their hold on of the world. And what's crazy is look at how we've swayed. We went from the church being in charge and their priests were the ones who got to choose the dogma. Science swept in and said, no, we're all about truth. We're all about, testing and experiment. And then they took over and now they are becoming the priests. It's like they just learned from the religious and said, oh, okay, so we just can make up whatever we want because now we have people believing us. Now, if we say science says, then whatever follows that, people will believe. Whereas before,
it was set on great foundations at the beginning.
Yeah, which was before.
Then it was used to deceive. Once
Right.
everybody bought into it and, oh, look at all the new stuff we're learning from science.
Right. Then you could say anything, right? Then you started to go with this, these theories that were, and Einstein has said it. God, what was I listening to yesterday? We could listen to, there's this guy talking about how Einstein in his own words basically said that all these theories are inventive, that they're just, basically pulled out of the sky. Because we can't really go by things that we can touch and test anymore. We have to imagine the truth now, which is just insane. It's like, this is why you have these crazy beliefs in relativity, which is just, now we've got space-time, which is basically a medium for something to travel through, radio waves, but it's not a medium. It's nothing, which, again, I still struggle with that one. Somebody needs to explain to me how we have nothing, but I'll never get that one. So this was
big shout out.
One of them is vertical orientation. What's up, Zach?
Say it again.
Big shout out to John Keeley, $20 over on Rockfin. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Much
John.
love, man.
I'm gonna find this. Oh, I'm already in the wrong account.
I did a vertical. And I think I did a horizontal, but so like I'm holding one phone in my hand and then I'm using my other hand to move the hand over. I just did it super quick for Discord. Right? But it's like a proof of concept. If you see it, like if you keep the phone at the same height, right? It's obviously not going to be perfect, but if anything, it's going up away. You see that it still curves down. Like you see it's arcing and it's going to curve back down. See that? It's going down. So that's what happens in the sky. And I'm slightly curving it so that you would see, like if this is your personal dome, it's going to slightly set off of west. So that's proof that if you have a light source that's a certain height above the ground, as it goes over, it's going to look like it's arcing, even though it's not arcing.
Well, but the sun's going the wrong way, right there?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I'm literally just showing that.
I thought you meant it was setting off, so I was confused. Okay, got you.
No, yeah, I'm showing that if it's curving, it'll set off of straight.
And look at this light. This looks exactly like the sun.
It's pretty crazy, man. And then when you look at it from the side, you can see the sun like inside the dome, bro.
Yeah.
Meaning like we may be in some type of container that also does that, right? There may be like a duo effect.
Absolutely. Even if it's gases up there, it could do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the gases actualize our personal dome, right? So that's why personal atmospheric dome is actually a good name, because it actualizes it. Meaning like, yeah, you have like a distance in each direction you can see, but it becomes like a lens, like an actual dome, because there's a medium there, right?
Right. And what's this other video? Same thing?
Yeah, just like from a horizontal, and then like I'm curving it around a little bit to show it.
Yeah, right. I still have this crazy idea. I don't know why. I can't get it out of my head that nothing in the sky is actually moving. It's at different elevations, and it's being almost like bent, or kind of like if you were looking at something from a toilet bowl beneath.
Hey, thank you. I just saw somebody donated $5. I missed that one. Can you read that one? Austin, I missed it.
Cryptico, you would ask me to read this one.
Why?
Thanks to Cryptico for the $5 donation. Effing science, bro. You rock, guys. I'm not cussing.
Goggles, check. Nodules, check. Fucking science, bro.
That one? All right.
Hi, lads.
Thank you very much for that. And there's another one just popped up. I just missed that one too. Oh boy, I gotta get back on the screen. There was another one. Read that one for me.
Fun Boston Bear for $10 donation. Thanks for the shout out. I enjoy helping pushing back the darkness in this battle for truth. I got to give credit to Samuel. Let's Get Triggered on TikTok for pointing out PhD Blitz was live. Look him up and sub.
Thank you very much, JT. Run Boston Bear, good guy. And thank you guys very much for the support. So yeah, I mean, these are the reasons why I was trying to find the Stephen Hawking video that guy did. Now I can't remember the name of that channel. I don't remember the name of it. Do you remember the name of that channel? That guy that was he was on too to talk about it. Oh wait, that's where I'll find him. We did a show together. And let me find that one. So let me find that one. There we go. So I'll bring that up just because it's good to show that is the most blatant, and people are always looking for it. I probably should do a video that just is just that so that people can find it easily. Otherwise, I think people go looking for it. What is that guy's name? Videos. Was it live? Yeah, it was live. 1 second. And his name is... How long ago was that? Not that long ago, was it? Didn't I do a show with him? Stephen Dragon. I thought it was after that. Before that one. No, I don't see it now. I don't know. You remember I did a show with that guy? What was it called? Anyway. All right. Well, the Stephen Hawking one. Then the National Geographic one, which we've shown many times before, which is the one where they basically, oh, I know why, because I'm in GLOBEBUSTERS account. And they're not a channel manager. That's why. They're not a, how do I do this? I'm going to sign out of GLOBEBUSTERS. The National Geographic one, they used a optical illusion to tell you that the Earth was curved. And they even said, oh, look at this. The water's blocking it, but you could see the horizon line way behind the boat. So, I mean, these are the kind of things that, to me, and I always go back to, the Earth.Null school, finding that map, starting to make videos about it, showing people, and all those winds made sense. All of a sudden, everything was jiving. It was like, oh, okay, I get it. You have these perfect circles, the jet streams, the currents, everything kind of started to make sense. And then I showed up there one day and they put the South Pole in the middle. And I was like, well, that's weird. Why would they do that? And I messaged that guy and even said, hey, why did you put the South Pole in the middle of the map? And he says, oh, because I don't want people thinking there's anything important about the North Pole. I said, well, but now people might think there's something special about the South Pole. Why would you put that at the center? He goes, it's just a decision I made. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then a couple days later, I went there and the AE map was, you could still click on it, but it wouldn't come up. So I was like, what's going on with this? So I messaged him and he says, oh, there's a bug. So I told Bob that. I said, Bob, there's a bug. That's why it's happening. And then he had Jeran, who could basically hack into there, went to the site and pulled up the code and said, no, it's not a bug. He edited it out. He took it out of the code. So then I messaged him and said, hey, are you sure you didn't take it out of the code? Did somebody tell you to do that? The next day we go there and the AE map's gone completely. And he's never responded since then to any messages. So they just took out the AE map completely. Then they had there used to be a site called Neve, neave.planetarium.com. And I believe now if you go there, if I'm not mistaken, let me close this. I think if you go to neve.com now, or neve.planetarium, planetarium, I think if we go there, let's see, oops, leave site, yes. I think it goes, oh wait, Neve Planetarium, oh, yeah. So if you go click that, it used to take you to, where's this at? No, I want to go to this site, neve.planetarium, neave.planetarium. And this is another thing that we caused. What's going on with that? Well, anyway, it does take you to Stellarium now. So what used to be a planetarium site, and you would go there, and that's where I did all my planetarium stuff. And then one day, because you could change the date, whatever you wanted, years ahead, years behind. So I would go and I did, 5,000 years in the past, and then I would notice that the North Star was still there. So what? So I would go 5,000 years in the future. North Star is still in the same spot, Polaris. So I wrote to the guy and said, hey, how come in 5,000 years you have the North Star still at the same spot? I thought it moves half degree every 70 years or something. And he said, oh, that's a different code. I didn't run that code. I ran a different code. Like, what do you mean? There's a different code for the real sky versus the fake sky? And I was kind of trying to play like I was a globe person, saying to him, like, this doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? And then he said, oh yeah, I'll try and implement the other code. All he did was forward it now to Stellarium. So those kind of things that I kept seeing, I was like, what is going on with this? Like, why is there no actual And I think that it has a lot to do with if you did have the actual code that shows the sky moving, that you would start to see things after, 70 years or so. You would start to be able to notice. And so maybe they do have two codes in there. But there was that one. There was the Sir Ranulph Fiennes having to, when I made a video about him, about how he lied in court and all these things, and he was the Guinness World Record holder, or they call him the world's greatest explorer. Well, all of a sudden there was this influx of comments on that page of people, calling him out, saying things. Well, then National Geographic, Guinness Book of World Records removed that whole entire page of comments. You go there and then all of a sudden the page is gone. There's no more comments on that page at all. So just these things that they constantly do, the Stephen Hawking not being on the ALS website, right? And then I made a video about it saying, how is this guy not on the ALS website? He's the one with ALS who's the most famous, and he's been alive longer than anybody else. And then people had a great laugh about it that he wasn't there. A couple days later, somebody called me, why did you lie about that? I'm like, what do you mean? Why did I lie? He's on the site. I'm like, what? I go look, and then he's on the site. And he wasn't there. You can go look, watch my video. My video shows the page that he's not there. So it's just kind of one after another. How about Behind the Curve? So if you have this ability to make a movie and make a Netflix film that none of us could do, we're never going to get picked up by Netflix to make a film. You guys did. Why not take that opportunity to prove your globe? Why would you need to misrepresent my experiment in order to prove your little theory? So why is it that in 10 years, 9 years, whatever it's been, that they haven't done one thing to prove this at all? Not one. I mean, besides fake different modes of experiments. So to me, it just becomes this this melting pot of just garbage. And then you've got the only people I kind of respect are the actual PhDs, the actual scientists, because I've never really had one of them just blatantly like lie and just be disgusting. Whereas these globe believers from YouTube are just like, they're so deluded. Like they think there's like not a problem in the world that's ever been, science has gotten everything right. They'll always get everything right. They're perfect. Like it's like man worship. I don't know. What say you guys? Are you still here? Am I talking to myself? Are we on the air?
No, I'm here. Yeah,
just make sure.
Absolutely. It is. I don't get it. I don't get the idea of men not being fallible.
Right.
And then when they're proven fallible, they still defend them. I've never understood that type of mentality. It's like you're in a cult defending your leader.
That's exactly what it is. It's like they don't see what that does, the damage that does, right? Like I would respect them if like FTFE would say like, oh my God, that moon landing the other day seemed ridiculous, right? Like it seemed like a joke, like no pictures, like what year is this? Rather, they'll just make excuses and say, they have better things to do than provide camera footage for you guys. It's like, no, but they didn't even know what happened to the craft supposedly. Did they never think to put a camera on it? Then you would know. Like, it's that simple. It's just
it had cameras on it, bro.
That's they had to shut them down.
They say, oh, the cameras were just for the navigation, and they had to turn it down, shut them off.
Did you hear?
But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, if they would just be like real about anything, like I talk to Globers all the time. I'm like, I know for a 100% fact, all you guys wish so bad you could get a 4K live stream of them going to the moon, so you could come rub it in our face, and they keep letting you down and giving you nothing over and over and over, and like they just lie about it. Like, okay, I mean, blatant,
whatever. Yeah, if you're listening to this, you probably heard that in 2017 we're going to send 2 humans around the moon. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then it was put off to 2018, mid 2018 at the latest. Yeah, and then they just never talked about it again.
Same thing's going to happen with Dear Moon. Watch. That's why I made people bets, because I knew exactly where it's going. It happens every time. There's not even a question of whether or not it's going to happen. So this is a video by Speaking the Truth in All the Realm. And I think he's just the first person to really do a good job, at least that I know of putting those two scenes together. So I'll show him to you. He does cover a bunch of other problems with the video. The whole thing is a garbage. But this is the bigger issue we have here. Let's go ahead and start from about here. And when you see that the water is the same, this is not a question. This is why I want people to get it. Because when I talked to Toon about it when he was on my debate the other day, and I mentioned it, he's like, oh, well, maybe they did this, or maybe that. I'm like, no, it's faked. There's no maybe they did this or that. This is the one that's easy to show.
Oh, he lied about this, or he didn't accept this?
He said he didn't. Yeah, he said no. Well, I got to look at it. So he hasn't seen it.
He'll never say anything about it.
I don't think so either, because they're just going to say, well, who cares? That's what their opinion is. Like, who cares if they're lying about it? It's still a globe, and it's kind of like what Zack said.
I say Blitz is not as bad as some of them, bro. Like,
no, he's not.
You heard what I said when I called him after that. He's like, yeah, that would be suspect. Where is that? He was like in disbelief that would actually be a thing.
I know.
And then,
I wanted to I was listening to after the fact, so it wouldn't have been any good to message you that. But I wanted to.
he made changes, But then I was also like with the anti-Semitic thing. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'll say, man, there's this weird belief, this ideology that God chose a certain ethnicity and that they're physically superior to everyone, and that everyone else is beneath them, literally, ethnically, like ethnic supremacy. I disavow ethnic supremacy.
Right.
I think that's gross. And if I say that, then I'm anti-Semitic, which is an accusation of racism.
Right.
And he like agreed.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the way he agreed was like, yeah, that's super cringe. That's what he said. But anyway, we're saying they're not all quite as bad as you like when you bring up FTFE and Looney Tunes, you're talking about like the two worst ones.
Yeah, but they're
FTFE
probably the
doubles.
most. They get the most views. I mean, they get more
Yeah, that's
views
what
than
the-
you or I. I mean, by
Professor
far.
Dave as well, like Simon Dan. These people.
Yeah, the slimiest ones.
Yeah.
Get. Yeah.
And, I mean, have you ever
Big
seen?
shout out.
Have you seen an FTF? Do you know how many members FTFE has? Austin?
Oh, you told me like 2,800.
I think it's like 2,300, but which is just insane to even think about. And then if
6
you,
figures a year after the cut.
yeah, and if you watch his streams, people they'll give 100 memberships away. People will donate 100. Here's the problem, and this is what I understand. They are a collective unit, right? They don't like hate on each other. So like all the Globers go there and they all dump their money there. And then whereas flat earthers, since we're so segregated, it's like little group here, little group there, little group here, over here, over here. So that's the difference, right? There's not a lot of those little Glober groups as much as there is flat earth factions, if you will. So let's just watch this real quick because it's a great little scene here. And there's no question here. So that you've got PBS, supposed to be at least upstanding in some way. You've got Stephen Hawking, who's got his name behind it. You've got, I think National Geographic was involved as well. Maybe not. Maybe it's just PBS. But you got the show Genius, 3 ordinary people are going to prove the shape of the earth. And then you go and you don't just lie. You actually have, this is not one where it's like, who was in the know? Well, the person who did the video editing, the person who was the producer, the person that was the writer, these guys that were there. Like there's a lot of people involved in this one. Let's watch.
So we synchronized the liftoff and landing at the exact moment the helicopter crosses the horizon. Nothing has been altered.
Oh, I know what Toon said. Toon said maybe they rewound the footage to show it taking off, which makes no sense at all. Basically, he's saying like they showed it landing behind the water, and then they just rewound the footage to have it go back up. But I'm like, no, the water's the same at different times. Like it can't be just a rewind, or else the water would be going backwards. Like.
And the official time code of the full program is given.
So this is how you know right here that this is fake, because you've got these two scenes, which are supposed to be different. You notice the times up here are a minute different in the video, and you've got the helicopter landing here, but this is the same water. Look at the screen. The water's identical. And you can keep pausing. You'll see right here next to the hairs, you got this little mark here. You got this one here. You got these 2 dots here, 3 dots. It's the identical water, yet there's no helicopters. So that's right away. It's impossible. Right away, how can you have both scenes? One has a helicopter and one doesn't, and the water is identical?
The helicopter here is about to descend below the horizon, and the helicopter here is about to crest the horizon and enter our line of sight. The waves of the lake in both scenes are
it's
identical,
Photoshop because it has to be.
I guess this has to be.
The helicopter is not.
Big shout out to Murray Cole over on Rockfin.
Thank you, Murray.
$20.
Thank
Much
you, Murray.
love.
Much love.
The same bird flies the same path in both scenes. These scenes are trick photography.
So again, you can see here that it can't just be a rewind, because you've got now these birds coming in both scenes. It's the same. So basically, it's trick photography. The helicopter has to be added after the fact somehow. And it doesn't even make sense to think that they would rewind it, because what they're saying is then the helicopter went behind the water, but then what? It never came back out. So they said we better rewind it and show that it comes. It doesn't make any sense. If it went down, then it came back up. So you would just film that. You wouldn't have to fake it.
Photography and not true recordings.
I mean, somebody
Even
actually
the
want to do this.
birds.
Yeah, the birds are identical. So it's not a question.
So
As it lands, it completely disappears from my
It's like this guy's lying through his teeth when he said, "Oh, it lands and it went behind it completely disappeared from my line of sight." Well, why didn't you just show that then? Why would you lie about it?
sight.
Right now.
They're
These
saving
are the
film.
same scenes with extra magnification.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah,
and it's such bad lying. I mean,
and let me tell you another
why
thing.
not shoot two totally different times?
Right.
Even if you're gonna fake it,
just go back out there and do it again. Why would you use the water scene from before and be like, it's blatant?
What is it, like a minute long?
Do you think they're doing it on purpose?
It has to be, Jeran. I've said this like we used, Dave has said and Bob has said, it's almost like they have to let us know that they're lying.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things. It's like if people are smart enough to figure it out, and if 90% of the world is just too dumb, it's almost like they're testing people. Because here's the thing: science, which is basically the definition of skepticism, would be the people that are behind science now are the least skeptical people that there is.
Mm-hmm.
These guys
and it should be the other way around.
Should be the other way around. They should be the ones digging into this footage and just. But if it wasn't for flat earthers, nobody would have ever known this was faked. That's the truth. Nobody would have ever even looked at it. No Glober's going to actually dig into it and look this carefully. It's us who's actually showing all these things to be faked. How about the Antarctic 24/7 video or 24-hour video where the sun's going around, but we saw that it's the same clouds at the start and the end, that they have faked it. So, I mean, if it wasn't for us, nobody would have found that. So, one of the reasons is because you guys are not skeptical anymore. We've had to people that, if it was science people that were skeptical, we wouldn't even need to butt in. Go ahead, be skeptical and point out these lies and these deceptions. But you guys stopped. We had to step in and do it. That's why there's flat earthers. I don't want to be doing this shit, but it's because you guys are just going to keep letting these guys lie to our faces. And I'm not going to stand for that. You guys are supposed to be the ones. And then I realized, oh man, these are just religious people. They have their own dogma now, and they've got, their beliefs that they're not going to change, that they're not going to question. They don't even look into them. So then it's like, all right, now we've got a problem. Now we've got, and that's what did Eisenhower call for? That everyone remembers him saying to watch out for the military industrial complex. But in that same speech, he said you also need to watch out for the scientific technological elite that will come around and they'll make science the big thing. So he talks about it. He knew what was coming. And that's where we're at now. And you've got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. What were you saying about him, Austin? You're saying something that I mean he's like such a joke, that guy. And it's I don't know. I certainly don't think he's somebody who, I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I think he worships the sun. I think he's, but I don't know if he knows the earth is flat. I don't know if he knows that. I think that you get too, I always bring up the thing when I was in San Francisco interviewing people, when I said to these two guys walking down the street, hey, can I ask you a question? How far away is the sun? They kind of looked at each other like, 1 AU. I'm like, oh, okay. That's a better answer I've been getting from everybody else. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, how far is that? They're like, we don't know. So we're talking a little bit more, and I said, what do you guys do for a living? They're like, oh, we're astrophysicists. I'm like, what? So you
don't know the distance to the sun.
They had no clue, not a clue. They just knew it was 1 AU. But that just kind of tells you, like, that when you're an astrophysicist, you've moved beyond that stuff. You're not talking about the distance to the sun. That's way in the past.
Yeah, you're not talking about the curve of the earth either.
No, that's why when Joe Rogan asked him, what about the 8 inches per mile squared? And he had no idea.
Gravity drop?
The gravity drop, he said. Yeah, the gravity drop? It's like, what? What are you talking about? But it's like, I guess if he was a liar, he would be a better liar. He's one of these guys that I think, I don't know, if you have somebody that lies, they're a liability. But if you have somebody who truly believes it, they're just an asset. They're just going to keep preaching it. They're going to keep denying anything that anybody says is different. And I think that that's more beneficial to them. That's more beneficial than having somebody who's out there lying. You want to have people who really believe it. And I think these guys really believe it. It's like the guys that they had doing, I don't know where the guy got that. Robot Polisher put up a video about the moon landing. And he had these voices. And I don't know where those guys came from. I thought at first they were like the actual voices from the stream, but I don't think that they are, because those guys just sound, they're trying to make excuses for it. And I'm like, that cannot be they really believe. You can tell they're not lying because they're terrible at it. They're clearly not lying about it. They're horrendous. So you have that one. Then we've got the the Nat Geo, which is just an optical illusion. That which one is it? Is it this one? I believe. Yeah.
And you were.
So and who's in on this one? This is I would love to talk to those guys from the Independent Investigations Group or whatever they're called. But if you go here to right where they are first seeing the board, you'll see the deception at play. There we go. So right here, you'll notice that this is a very weird painted sheet or whatever this is, because clearly the black line. Why would you put that there? If it's supposed to be in the middle, then you would have white, red, white, and you would have down here white, red, white. But there's no white at the bottom. So already you're kind of like, so these 3 stripes are on top and these 3 stripes are on bottom. Why did you make the middle one black? But whatever. So then they go out, they send the boat out, and this is their drawing. Okay, well, you wouldn't be able to see it. It goes over the curve. So then when the boat starts going out, and she asks Mark, what are you going to see? And you can even see the way that they're holding it would hide part. Look at it here like this. Oops, I almost got it there. There. Yeah, you can see that they're holding. That's even going to hide some of the bottom red stripe. But let's pick it up from here.
At first, all the stripes are clearly visible. But sure enough, as the boat reaches the horizon...
How is this reaching the horizon? You can see the water way behind the boat. So clearly the water from the horizon can't be covering this board. You have to be behind the curve, not the curve behind here. Doesn't even make sense. And again, clearly you start to, well, you didn't lose anything here. We just saw he was holding this board with little tiny waves. You would easily cover the bottom red
stripes begin to disappear one by one.
So she says they start to disappear one by one. I mean, that right there is telling you that more than one disappeared. If somebody says something's disappearing one by one, it means it's happening multiple times. Multiple stripes are disappearing.
It's pretty amazing. You can actually see it pretty clearly with this camera here. And
what do you see?
See that
the horizon in the background the whole time.
Right.
That's the craziest part about it, that they don't even mention that, like it's not there.
Right over their head. And then for to say that the red stripe is gone, let me just go a little bit further back and listen to what she says about the stripes. I mean, we can see the red stripe there. And you can see these waves would easily cover that.
Bottom has completely disappeared.
The bottom has completely disappeared.
And it's now getting closer to sort of the middle green stripe, that is.
So remember, that's not a middle stripe. This is an optical illusion. It looks like it's the middle stripe, and it looks like buried in here is white, red, and another white. It looks like it's like gone down here.
So it hasn't even lost one stripe yet.
Has not lost one. It's at a half stripe, and that's it. And even if you call it a half stripe, and those stripes were what? 10 inches, maybe 12 inches. So you're talking about you've lost 6 inches of the red stripe due to surface waves.
We've lost about 1.5 stripes.
And this guy just claims it's 1.5 stripes out of nowhere. So, I mean, this is why there's flat earthers, because just if it's so easy to prove it's a globe, then go out and prove it. Just go do it. You have all this money. Why don't you do it? And it's just they can't. No, Dave, that's not what I want. Oh, boy. I told Dave to send me something, and instead he sent me a bunch of pictures of them on the beach in Hawaii, in Mexico. That's nice, Dave. Appreciate that. Let's continue.
Right. So this can only happen why?
Because of the curvature of the Earth.
Because of the curvature of the Earth. I mean, this is the only reason it could happen. Even though this guy's supposed to be, again, skeptics. This guy's from the Independent Investigations Group. They're supposedly a group that goes around and debunks, like the James Randi has that $1 million challenge, where if you can show something supernatural or something, he'll give you $1 million. These are like that. They go around and they debunk all these claims, or if people claim to be seeing a apparition at a church, they'll go there and show that it's not an actual ghost, and then to come here and just like, oh, we're going to school flat earthers, and then have to set up an optical illusion and then just straight lie to people.
So here's what we were shooting.
But Mark Sargent and the other flat earthers have a very different
interpretation. And that's why there's so many of us, and it's growing.
Yeah, and it's going to it's going to keep getting more and more because, Austin, can you explain what you were talking about, what happens when new people come on and they see that basically they're being lied to or that they're being gaslit, kind of? You know what part I'm talking about? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so like people look into flat earth and then, well, for one, if they see stuff like this, like they're lying and misleading you and deceiving you, then they're like, wait a minute, why would you have to lie? That this was stupid. But more so like in the debates, when they see the other person just like be super dishonest and avoid your point and twist your points and strawman you and call you names and insult you and gaslight you and call you insane and all this crazy stuff, what the like new person thinks is like, wow, why would you have to do all that? I don't want to be on that side. I don't want anything to do with that. So when you constantly have to strawman flat earth, the person thinks, wait, I mean, is there a real argument too good for you to respond to? When you constantly have to gaslight them, they're like, why are you not talking about the information and you're trying to make these people feel insane? People instinctively kind of want to be on the other side of the people that act like that. And so I keep trying to tell them, like you guys saying that sunsets wouldn't work on a flat earth, right, and straw manning flat earth, that, you'd fall off the edge or the whole earth would be lit up, and constantly misrepresenting them and interrupting them and obfuscating and calling them names and gaslighting them is actually making more flat earthers. And I'm like, so if you really think flat earth is some type of threat, then that should be the last thing that you do. But yeah, people,
I know, and it's sad that they
a motivation for them doing that.
It's sad that they can't take that advice either. No. I mean, that's great advice, Austin. That's advice that That's the kind of stuff I don't like saying out loud, you know, because I don't want to give the opposition any type of, you know, advantage.
But yeah, I do.
No, that's awesome.
We always do, and we give them every kind of measurements. I always give them the extra bit. They've never done that to a flat Earth, right? It's always, oh no, refraction says that can be there. He was talking about Canigou and just says like, oh, I put it into Bislin's calculator and it's fine. That's not what reality is. You can't just say I put it because Bislin's calculator will let you change refraction up to whatever you want. So
that doesn't work for the silhouette anyway, bro. Like,
and he was saying it was a shadow. He was saying as a shadow.
Yeah, well, silhouettes are shadows. Shadows can't be refracted, man. Like silhouettes can't be refracted. So you could say that the light from the sun is being lifted up. You don't have to say that the sun itself is lifted up.
Right.
What we're seeing is the sun with part of it blocked out. Right, but you can't say that the mountains are being lifted up because for one, you would see them if the light's lifted up, it would be refracted, but you don't see that. It's a shadow. It's the absence of light. The absence of light does not refract. Like a silhouette is a shadow. Like it's the outline of a shadow. It's the absence of light. So like the absence of light can't be refracted. Refraction is a property of light. So you also can't claim that, well, the mountains got lifted up and then that mirage or that illusion blocked out the sun, right? Because light doesn't block out light and create shadows. So refraction doesn't work for that because you have to say that the entire sun was lifted up. And for one, like I tried to tell him, well, as the light goes past the mountain, if it's lifted up, it's going to fill back in behind that mountain. How do you see the silhouette anyway? Right. But even more than that, it's like the whole sun having to be lifted up means that the sunset would have to increase significantly.
Yeah, the one thing that got me really early on, it was probably something that you said, Jeran, or an idea that somebody in your chat came up with about putting a measurement on the wall. Like take your window and put a line parallel to it on the wall, and you will see that the sun will never go below that window and
People
cast
say,
a light ray upwards. Like if the sun is setting and you're in like a high rise, it'll never go up.
Hendry's book, he wrote that like from 1900. It's a old ass book. Is his name? I can't remember his name. Is it Hendry who wrote
William
the book?
Hendry, I think.
But is that guy recent or 1900? Anyway, it's a book from 1900 where that's one of his. He gives all these examples of ways to prove that the Earth is not a globe. And one of those, he said, take the highest mountain, take the highest house, and put it on the highest mountain, and at no time will there ever be sun rays coming in, going and hitting the ceiling. Now, again, I'm not even sure that's necessarily totally true because we've seen how light can come underneath a cloud, and that's been shown. So, maybe he's wrong. Maybe those, I don't know if you necessarily see rays, but you might from your eye. It doesn't mean that there's actual rays. Your eyes just show that. Just like we see a red sunset, right? And the people standing underneath those clouds, it's not red clouds to them. It's just your vantage point. Now I was trying to show Canigou here real quick, but Canigou to me is one that here's a 2012. Austin describes it great when he's saying that this is not something that refraction is causing, or else we wouldn't be able to go there on certain days and know it's going to happen every time, no matter what. Like that's the difference.
I was trying to tell him that you have to say that. Well, you have to claim it's like it happens every day. You have to claim that refraction happens every single day, but that still doesn't work because that means the sunset would be that much longer every single day.
Right. And there's
the globe predicts, and it's not. So it's just game over. I set him up. If he ever debates me again, then he's in trouble. He's going to have to change his
He was
plan.
probably looking at this one because I heard him. I was listening to it. I wasn't watching, but he was saying something about the light being in front of it, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah. He showed me like a picture that was like pink.
Right. I don't know if it's this one, but the problem with this is, of course, that, first of all, it's 175 miles, which is far. And these people aren't that high. Usually they are at the 1,000 foot. Yeah, 1,000 foot marker. So really it should be way below. Now, if you turn up the refraction again to a certain level, then you'll see, but it doesn't even move. It's not like, and that one guy, I forgot his name, Jason Goodman, who came on and had a conversation with Dave Weiss and I, and he was saying, oh no, this is because it's casting the silhouette into the sky of the mountain. It's like, no, then it would move. It would move as the sun went up and above it, then you would see it lower. It just stays there because the mountains are there. That's it.
You can't just go to Bislin's calculator and move it until you see the mountain anyway, because you can't do that because you couldn't lift the mountain up. And so that's light, like a mirage, basically. That light can't block the light from the sun. So you need to claim that the mountain and the sun are both behind the curve of the earth and that the sun is being refracted up and that part of the light of the sun's being blocked by the mountain on the other side of the curve. That's a major problem because as the sun gets lifted up, that light is going to fill in where the mountain was blocking it, because now it's beyond it, it's above it, it's no longer where the mountain is, and it's going to fill in the gap behind it. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I create like a refracted image up in the sky, I can't go behind it and shine a flashlight behind it and then it create a silhouette. It's light. The light can't block the light. So saying that the mountains are lifted up doesn't answer this.
And that's what they
It's
said.
my favorite. It's my favorite one now.
This might be a mainstream explanation here. Let's see.
You get to see the sunrise before the sun actually rises. You know what happens? Earth's atmosphere has different layers. And also, the optical densities of these layers decreases
can't actually hear
as you move.
Oh, you guys can't hear it? Sorry, there's a problem with having trouble getting, I don't know what kind of mic's over there on this Skype. Anyway, yeah, he's just talking. But
just play it. You can tell us later.
Okay, yeah.
Away from the Earth's surface. That is with increasing height. So, what happens is, just before sunrise, before the sun reaches the horizon, the sunlight enters obliquely into the atmosphere. It gets refracted through the atmospheric layers. Now, this refraction causes the light rays to bend. So, the sunlight actually reaches the Earth's surface in a curved path. Now, what happens from the point of view of an observer? Following the path of the light rays entering the eyes, the observer actually sees the sun slightly above its actual position. And as a result of that, he sees the sun about 2 minutes before the sun actually rises.
He was just saying that you see the sun 2 minutes before it actually rises, and you see it 2 minutes before or when it sets, it's already been set. Now, how that describes why there's mountains in the sky, supposedly, I'll never know. I don't understand how they can say that. This is, what do they call this? Advanced sunrise and delayed sunset? That's something else. But anyway, Canigoo's a great one. And again, you can go to Walter Bisland's calculator and you'll see what they're doing. They just basically move that dial up and then they call it standard refraction. But standard refraction, I think, was added when we started to see too far. And they just added a standard amount that gets it more in line. Because would you say it was 25%?
It's 15 to 20%.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, well, I guess.
But yeah, that's what they did. What they did was they saw how far we see on average. We see like 15 to 20% too far on average. And they went and looked at the average atmospheric conditions. And they just matched them. Because it must be, the standard atmospheric conditions must be bending light this much because we know the Earth's a globe, which means, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not how science works, bro.
No.
Big shout out to Doug Maurer over on Rockfin.
Doug, what's up, Doug?
Much love, GLOBEBUSTERS. Shout out to Bob. You are missed.
Bob is missed. Indeed. And you know, it's so funny because Bob did so much that he was the one who, you know, taught me about not when you go the speed of sound in a plane that nobody in the plane would know. And I think that's starting to come out now. We can look at that article that you sent me the other day that basically is talking about these winds. I'll go ahead and bring that up real quick. Thank you, by the way, everyone who donated at Ko-fi.com/GLOBEBUSTERS. We are halfway to our goal, and we're going to be going over to Rockfin probably in 15 minutes or so. Talk a little bit more like big boys. Let me bring this up and go to our chat just so I can bring up that article. So, and we've seen articles like this pop up every once in a while. I think it's all damage control. We're talking about the jet streams and planes going faster, and so that they are basically now admitting that planes go much faster than we thought, but they're still lying about it because they still say things like, we'll bring this article real quick. Let me bring this up for you. Okay, so this is an article from February 10th. It says near record winds over the Northeast push passenger planes to speeds over 800 miles per hour. Again, even at 800 miles per hour, now look at the plane that always goes 550, seems to always go 550 from Sydney to Santiago. And it goes 550 for whatever it is, 14 hours. Now all of a sudden, now think of that at going 800. So you're now making up an additional 250 miles per 14 hours. So you can go 250 times 14, and all of a sudden that plane could be going an extra 3,500 miles and nobody would know it. So this is what we've been saying. We've been saying that the whole time, that these planes are going further. The south is further. This is why there's only like one flight, and it's a specialized plane. It's a 787-9 Dreamliner that's all composite materials, and it's all been redone and reworked. And
5 layers of special paint.
Right. It's got all these different suit ups that sound like they're going, again, because if a plane gets up there, it's going to get hot. So it says here, strong high altitude winds over the mid-Atlantic sped up the sky traffic Saturday night, getting passengers on at least 2 commercial flights to their destinations early as they hit supersonic speeds topping 800 miles per hour. Of course, supersonic would be if you were actually going through the air at that speed, I guess, which I'm not even sure that that is true either. It seems very weird to me that as you get up higher and higher, then I guess... So wouldn't it be, because we lose sound, I'm trying to get this out. In Dwayne Kellum's balloon launches, he used to launch it with a little auditory thing. It would go beep, beep, beep on its way up there. And always, at like 50,000 feet, you lose the beep. Okay, so then it means sound doesn't have anything to travel in anymore. So wouldn't a plane not have, wouldn't they, if it got high enough, not go through the sound barrier? I guess I'm confused as to if you have less and less atmosphere, but they actually say that the speed of sound speeds up in there, right? It's not that it
no, I think the denser the medium, the faster the sound.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Travels. Yeah.
So the speed gets slower as we get higher and higher. The speed of sound, correct? That's what they say. So then they basically, because they change it, I forgot what it is at the ground, but it's like 650 in the sky, whatever. But it says winds at cruising altitude peaked at 265, according to Washington D.C. the National Weather Service Office. The second high, so it says here, the second highest wind speed logged, and you'll notice it says in the region. Okay, there's a reason for that. Is because in the South, I've seen papers that say that there's jet streams of 350. So they're not going to tell you that, because if you knew that, then you would start questioning, well, why are planes going 550 if they're flying from Sydney to Santiago? Why not take advantage of those winds? That means that they're actually going 150. The plane's going 150 and then just riding the 350 mile per hour winds to go 500 miles per hour. No way. No way. That's not what planes do. So again, it says highest wind speed logged in the region since recordings began in 1948. And I could show you a paper from a guy who wrote a paper and basically said that no, there's speeds way higher than this. And he wrote the paper after 48. So I don't even know where they're getting that number. The highest ever wind speed recorded in the area at a similar altitude was 267 on December 6th. It says, for those flying in this eastbound jet, there will be quite a tailwind. The tweet, or the NWS warned in a tweet. But then it says here, no, thank you. It says, sure enough, that tailwind helped out, cut a flight down by 45 minutes. The Boeing 787 reached a maximum ground speed of 802, surpassing the speed of sound at 767, but 767 is at the ground again. But as Washington Post explained, the plane didn't actually break the sound barrier. Although its ground speed, a measure that combines the plane's actual speed and additional push from the wind, was greater than the speed of sound, it was still moving through the surrounding air at its ordinary cruise speed. It just so happened that the surrounding air was moving unusually fast. Says another one took off here. It says just last month, a jet stream over the Pacific Ocean produced 250 mile per hour winds that pushed a China Airlines flight to log 826. Again, that means even if you look at the 600, so it would be 575. There are no official records. This is funny too. There's no official records for commercial flight speeds, which is weird. The newspaper reported
that's really weird.
Yeah, but both of the latter ground speeds are among the highest known recorded. In February 2020, a British airline set a record for subsonic transatlantic flight time with a recorded top speed of 825. The powerful jet streams that drive up flight speeds are often fueled by the contrast in temperature. Now, don't believe there's some thing on TikTok going around. I saw it on Telegram going around. There's a video of a plane going crazy and everybody's screaming because of the crazy turbulence. And then it says, like, it links this article basically saying that that plane is going through that. That's not even the case. We all know that when we get up to 35,000 feet, that's the smoothest your flight is going to be. And you're always basically riding jet streams. So the jet streams, which, hey, don't ask me how it works because I think it's crazy, but there's jet streams up there and they are like little freeways for the planes. Planes get up there and they're different levels at different heights. And we've seen, I know Austin's seen it too. They actually just 1,000 feet above where you're at can be going the other direction. So, I mean, that's crazy. And that's why they put up these balloons. You know, if they put up 2,000 balloons every day, part of that is to get these wind speeds everywhere so that they can then program it into the flight planner. And then the flight planner moves planes to different levels to get them where they need to be on time so that if you leave late, that you still arrive on time. So, kind of weird that, that's another reason though why I'm a flat earther for several reasons, but one of them is the South. How could it be that we don't have cruises that go from Sydney to Santiago, from Australia to South America. Why would that ever be the case? And it's because you can make up time in the air. We know that with these planes we just showed you, but you can't make up time on a boat. A cruise ship.
It sounds like a beautiful cruise too. Hit all those crazy little what are those islands?
Well, now they do have that cruise, but it's like that cruise is like 62 days, and it goes to every island and stays 2 or 3 days. So that one is like going.
It breaks it up a bunch, yeah.
Right, but there's no cruise that just goes straight across, because that's what you would really need to test it, because a cruise ship goes 20 miles per hour, so it's not going to go 40. Right, like a cruise ship that's its top speed is 20, or its cruising speed. So it doesn't have a mechanism to go much faster than that. But planes do. Obviously, we just showed you planes can go much faster, almost at 50% of their speed in addition. So that just tells you that there's a problem there. The underground sea cables or the undersea cables. This is something that was like not taught to us for a reason. None of us got into our 20s and thought that all of our communications were being done through the ground and under sea cables. None of us even knew. It was like hidden. It was like I believed that it was satellites did everything. And then when I got into this conversation is when I started to learn, well, no, not really. Oh, now it's like 99% of all communication is done through undersea cables. People don't know that. How is there all these thousands of satellites in the sky if they're not really used for internet? It's all other stuff. So,
Professor,
go ahead.
You gotta try to drop the browser source on the top layer of every scene.
Oh, I forgot to do it on this one. Okay,
it's all good, but let me just read this off. Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you, but
no, I got it now. Now it's on there.
Cryptico said, "Oh my God, guys, you still don't get it. I don't know why you still don't bow down to science, bro."
I gotta get it.
Thank you for the advice.
Yes, thank you. We'll get it right on that.
I grabbed my lab coat. I do have one.
Yeah, that's good.
And you were right, Jeran. At sea level, it says the value is right around the 340 meters per second mark at sea level for the speed of sound. But if you go up to 120,000 feet, it's only about 200 meters per second.
How much is that? So you said what? It was 120,000 feet. It's 200 meters per second?
Yeah, to break the speed of sound. And then at sea level, it's 340 meters per second you have to go.
Wow. So it actually is like almost half.
Yeah.
What is 200 meters per second in miles per hour? Sorry, I'm an American.
Let me see.
Don't go by meters per second. Just want to know what the difference is, because I know it's about 750 on the ground, so that means that the speed of sound is like 400 up there, somewhere around there.
447.387.
And that's at 120,000. 447. Okay. I mean, a lot of it doesn't make sense to me anyway, because they say that the direction of the sonic boom goes in the direction that the craft is going to. So it's because like people never ask, why is there no sonic boom when these rockets that they launch leave? They only come when they come back. And their story is because since the craft is going up, the sonic boom goes up. But if that were the case, then their whole idea of, we can't do a supersonic flight like the Concorde anymore is because they said it would cause problems to people on the ground. It's like, then you're lying, because the plane is going up. So just have the plane go up when it breaks the sound barrier, and then the sound will go up. It doesn't go down. So, the sonic boom. So, and I don't even understand if that works. Like, it goes forward, the sonic boom goes forward, but isn't it behind the plane? That's just kind of weird to me. I would think it goes in every direction like a sphere or something. But now that's one that I'm not sure completely why they say that. Then you've got Elon Musk saying that we can get up there and that we can basically use the same energy and go faster the higher you go, which, they don't want him saying that. That's something else that I don't think people know. People want to say like, oh no, if you go too high, there's no air. Granted, yeah, if you go too high, there's no air. But I think when you're still at 40,000, 45,000, I think you can go 50,000 in a plane easily.
Oh yeah, well they tell us, I mean, it's not something that we were taught in school, but if you go and look at all the space weather type of stuff, there's solar winds, these, remarkable winds that are coming down, that are getting through our magnetosphere and all that kind of stuff, that are, moving the air above our heads as well. We have strong blasts of solar winds from time to time. And I never heard about anything like that in school. Like there was wind coming from space.
Yeah, I don't even get the wind of what?
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? How is nothing blowing?
Yeah, it just baffles me why they get away with that. And I don't even think that it was never like, even in Aristotle's time, right? They didn't believe in a vacuum. mean, that the vacuum has to exist because they're like, well, the Earth is spinning in it and it's flying through space and it's not being impeded, so it has to be a vacuum.
Yeah, they thought they were in a liquid.
Yeah, I think so. And they
once they put the huge expanse on it, you know, and made it super far away, because it just has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it was even bigger at one time, and then they actually shrunk it down. Wasn't the moon or the sun supposedly 125 million miles at one time? Something like that.
Oh, it's been all over. I mean, even Newton said, like, it doesn't matter. Anything between 12 and 65 will do us fine or something.
Yeah.
So this is the paper I was talking about. Oh, let me see if I have it on screen or not. I might not. Yeah, I do. So this is the structure of the jet stream core, written by these two guys, Geophysics Research Directorate from the Air Force, 1957. He talks about the typical jet stream characteristics, or illustrated by the above. They put out all these tests to see what it was at, and then they talk about these individual jet streams. And if this is the one that does talk about it here, where it starts talking about the various speeds. Let me find where it's at here. But basically saying that in one point it says that they get up as high as 350. Now, they'll never mention that anymore. They just don't mention that. I've never even heard anybody say above 250. But yet, back then, they obviously did. Let me see if it's down further here. In here, maybe. Inspecting these curves, we see an average of 119 knots. Maximum speeds range from 63 to 187 knots with an average value of 119. But again, where are they talking about? They were testing in very many places. Maybe this isn't the right paper. There's another one. Aircraft observation range from 2 winters if used to construct the jet streams. And they talk about these, and they say they're very regular and that they're very smooth. And they made this recommendation, or they first saw this when I guess some planes got back from World War I, and they'd get back to Japan or something, and they would say like, "Oh, we went over there and back," and they were like, "What? No, you didn't." Like, yeah, we did. And they're like, "No, you can't go that fast." And they say, "Somehow we went that fast." Then they start saying, "Well, how the hell are you getting there so fast?" So then they started putting up these balloons and realized that, that there is speeds up there that planes are able to get up into. And then they started investigating it. I was trying to find, this might not be the right paper. Let me check one other spot. Maybe, is it this? This is the one. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. That's just another paper about it. But this is the one. Where is by Colorado State. Oops, wrong one. Hold on, I just had it and it's gone now. Come on, there we go. Content, it says. That's why I can't find it. All right, so this is Colorado State document, Department of Atmospheric Science, and this is from 1950, or down here 62, June of 62, or whatever that says. Yeah, June. And it starts talking about these jet streams, and it starts talking about these ones here. You'll notice here. But observations soon rudely upset the idea. Well, they said here, following the first discovery, the concept was proposed of a single dominant jet stream per hemisphere. But observations soon rudely upset this simple picture. It is now clear that jet streams will be encountered simultaneously at various latitudes and altitudes. At this time, we have definite knowledge of the following currents. So he's saying we have definite knowledge. So this is not like, oh, we maybe have these or whatever. So you see here, we've got 100 knots. And then down here, you've got velocities recorded at above 200 knots. And one of these, it says 300 knots, I believe, or somewhere around there. That then equals 350 miles per hour. Above 200 knots, strong Mendes asymmetries are common with respect to the great altitude. This current has hindered adequate observation. So they're even saying that there could be higher, that it's hard to get to. Where am I missing here? 60, 65 in winter. Core height at least 75,000 feet. Velocities recorded above 200 knots. Where can I find this? 50,000, little or no meander. 100 knots. I think it's right here. There we go, 300 knots. So, the subtropical jet stream of winter, latitude 25, 35, core speeds occasionally approaching 300 knots. So again, go to 300 knots and see.
In subtropical, that means below the tropics, right?
Right. So 300 knots in miles per hour is 345. So, I mean, he basically said we had definite knowledge that we have 345 mile per hour jet stream, but I've never heard it mentioned. So again, this is the way things change, and now you just don't talk about that anymore. Because again, that would be
wow.
Huge.
Where was that paper from too? From
Department of
2024.
What do you mean?
No, that was the last one.
Oh, no, this paper is 1962. Talk about clear air turbulence. They talk about flight planning. Again, this is what people we weren't even told that they use jet streams for flight planning, and it makes sense now when you think about it. Like, I've always gotten in planes and we've always left late, and then we always get there on time. How the hell does that happen? So it says, except Except for a system of completely rigid airways, both vertical and lateral shears of the jet streams are important in planning the flight of vehicles which maintain an altitude or change it only slowly. Many have had the idea that wind would have little importance in a jet aircraft operation. In view of this rapid fuel consumption of jets, however, wind has proved to remain a significant factor. Substantial time can be saved in flight planning for the common aviation system with inclusion of the upper winds in flight planning, which is why we go up that high now, especially during upstream flights. For subsonic jets, these savings often amount to 10% or more of the Great Circle flight time. In order that the jet stream structure be a useful input to the air traffic control system, it must be possible to process this information rapidly and present it in a form suitable for airway management, which is what they do now. They put up 2 balloons a day from 1,000 locations on Earth that immediately gets put into the system, and then the flight planner immediately moves planes into various levels to get them where they're going. In principle, this problem has been solved for high-speed computers, and this is in 1962, and they're talking about it's been solved for high-speed computers. A method exists for quantitative representation of the winds, but we couldn't possibly get cloud data into a supercomputer and show that on Himawari 8. That's what people believe now. In principle, this problem has been solved. A method exists for quantitative representation of the winds, measured by balloon ascents as a function of height using the Fourier analysis. Several techniques exist which permit rapid horizontal analysis of the wind field, notably fitting by quadratic surfaces. With these tools, the complete wind distribution can be at the disposal of the air traffic control computers within minutes after the termination of the balloon runs. About 8 years ago, the concept of a layer of maximum wind was proposed as means of reducing the 3-dimensional flight planning problem to 2 dimensions. At the present juncture, this restriction is of no advantage since 3-dimensional flight planning with current wind observations is feasible. The quantitative wind analysis also should lead to substantial advances in wind prognosis during the next few years, which is how they're able to, basically these winds do drive weather as well. They can tell when there's no high altitude winds or they're slower, that you're going to have a colder period of time in the UK and things like that. So they look at all that. So anyway, good paper here. I will put that in the t.me/Jeran's links. I think it's actually already there. Let me see what else I had for that. This is one. So this is an article that just came out. When was this one? Except because they're now coming out this is from 2/21, 2019, but it's almost like they just keep popping out the same story, which they've done before. This is the wild physics of a passenger plane that just say 800 miles per hour. And then it goes through and starts doing the same. Basically, it's going to be the same article we just read. People have been riding the jet stream for virtually as long as people have been flying airplanes, says this associate professor at the Aerospace Engineering. This trick goes way back to the historic flights of air travel history. The Spirit of St. Louis, the first flight across the Atlantic, went from west to east. Well, and now think about that. Every plane that crossed water first went west to east because that's the way the winds blow, which again, doesn't make sense if you believe you live on a spinning Earth, because your belief is that the Earth is spinning in the direction that these winds are going, and the winds are going faster than the spin of the Earth. So somehow, imagine taking a basketball, spinning it on your finger. Now imagine somehow that the air that's around the basketball is moving with it, which is insane. But let's say you have that much. And then to imagine that there's winds inside there moving faster than the basketball itself is spinning in that direction. It just doesn't, it baffles the mind. You'll notice in the history, whenever somebody has done a first flight across the Atlantic, it's always west to east. The jet stream is so strong, he points out, that back in 2003, a model aircraft, the Spirit of Butts Farm, was able to make the journey across the Atlantic. That's insane. For those involved in the aerospace industry, a jet stream is a daily consideration for those people flying the U.S. to Europe. So anyway, it is something that is happening, and obviously they keep saying they break records. I wonder if we found out how many times they've said that, because they do seem like they say it quite a lot. And then I've looked into it before, and I've seen people say they've been surprised by how fast they've gotten places, or that I always hear things crazy in these forums where, we made up 2 hours, and maybe it's true. I don't know. But I think that these planes are moving much faster, and I think those winds are moving much faster. How would we know? If we go to Bob's Winds, which is a play off of Earth.Null School, I always forget, is it Bob's Winds? BobWinds.com. Is it Bob Wins or Bob's Wins? I never can remember. Bob's.
I think it's
Bob Wins.
Bob Wins,
okay.
Yeah.
BobWins.com. And wins, not wind, right?
Yeah.
Wins, yeah. Bob Wins.
Bob Wins. Where did that go? Uh-oh.
Is it gone?
No. I used it a couple of days ago.
Is it Bob Wins with NDS? Or
BobWins.com, but I'm looking at it. BOBWINDS.
Okay, I thought you were saying wins, like he wins the game.
No.
So yeah, but if you go here and you try to bring up the different flight levels, you'll notice that you only go. Oh, you can't see it on the screen. Well, when that little guide that comes up, you can only do different heights, and there's only 250 HPA, which is here, which is about 34,000 feet, and then there's 70 HPA, which is about 40,000 feet, and then 10 HPA, it's like 55,000 feet. So you only get those three. Look what's going on here. Wow. That's at 10 HPA. That's about 50,000 feet. It's kind of weird. But you'll notice here, so this is why I think that planes get higher. So at 50,000 feet, look at, now there's a jet stream going the other way. So when people fly from Santiago to Sydney, and they wonder, well, how can that plane make it so fast if they're not using, well, there is a jet stream if they get up a little bit higher. So
look at all those red winds right in there.
These ones
over
here?
There. Yeah.
Yeah, how fast are these moving? Oops, let me move this up here. That's meters per second, kilometers per hour, and so 170 miles per hour. It looks a lot faster than that, 143, 196. I don't know. Is that anybody's flight route? Anybody going to go like this? Just doing circles up there. 176. And again, it doesn't need to be very fast. These are 76 miles per hour. But again, when you add that, and again, they could be faster. And again, we don't know what in between these two, right? What's between 40 and 55,000? There's a lot of.
How are you getting supposed speeds?
Say again?
How are you getting the supposed speeds?
Just clicking on it, and then up here in the corner, I can. It starts out at like meters per second, but you can click around and switch it. But this is where you get your most speeds, is at the 250 HPA, which is at about 34,000 feet. And this is where you usually get. So where's Australia here? So you usually get this one moving 111. It shows 125. Again, you have to believe them and believe that that's all they're moving. 120, 102. I've seen them when we did the Flight Aware 24. We were able to bring up the one time that Tony Coriolis, was it Tony? Somebody bought it. I can't remember who it was. Somebody bought it.
Maybe they do change quite a bit, and that's why a lot of these flights are canceled.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know. I just think that we wouldn't know how fast those are moving, and nobody would need to know, because if the computer does it, then the computer's just going to get the plane where it's going on time. So I guess the computer would have to know, though. The computer would have to know that the planes, that you can get up and go 400 miles per hour or whatever it would be. Because these are coming out. Well, here's 172 racing through here, 147. But again,
I mean, so if a plane's going 800 miles per hour and it flies at 550 to 600, and it has to be at least a couple hundred miles per hour, even in the north.
Yes. Yeah, so, which I do think.
Highest. Huh?
I think that they're, 200 miles per hour, you can get you there easily. I mean, if you're doing 200 mile per hour winds, then you've got a plane going 550 plus 200, just say 200. So now that plane's going 750. And then
but these planes actually go faster. Like when I was showing that guy, I looked it up and it's like 650 easy.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, that's what they say.
So the only thing that makes me put a lid on that would be this so-called speed of sound at certain heights. But again, I'm not even willing to say that they don't have certain planes that can do because again, nobody in the plane would know. And that's what got us on the subject. Was Bob is the one who taught me that, and I loved using it. I mean, it must have made Michael Sartain be so sad. This guy's a pilot. He's a pilot. And he's trying to tell Dave Weiss and I, like, oh, if you went the speed of sound, you would certainly know it. Everybody in the plane would know. And I said, nobody in the plane would know. And he's like, oh, talk to this guy. He's an Air Force captain. And the guy's like, oh, well, nobody in the plane would know. But he's like, shit.
That dude's such a loser. That dude's like, he was acting like he was going to debate me at one point, and I thought I was going to get a conversation with me, him, and Zerka set up, which would go super viral. And he backed out. He's scared.
Yeah, I saw him say something recently, too. He's like blaming science for flat earthers. Have you seen him? There's like a video of him. I forgot where I saw it on TikTok, I think, somewhere. There's a video of him explaining that, like, he's like, I thought this was going to be an easy debate. He's like, these guys know their stuff, and they do because nobody from science is doing anything. He calls them out and says, like, why haven't you guys come out and helped us yet? He's basically asking for help. But,
funny because he makes excuses. He's like, if you had a panel of like 5 PhD physicists and 5 flat earthers, the flat earthers would destroy them in a debate every time.
Oh yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Where did you see that video?
I don't know. I saw a clip of it, and he's like, I saw that on.
He says it because you guys are more charismatic.
It's because but it's because I was in a conversation. And I said, have you ever heard of Michael Sartain? He basically said. And then Robot Polisher made a video where he actually puts him in there saying it.
Okay,
right? Instead of what I kind of paraphrased. That's where I saw it.
Oh, is that where you saw it? I'll try and find that because it's.
So I saw it recently. You know, I can't remember who showed it to me back in the day, but it is funny because it's like, or maybe our arguments are better. Like maybe we're right. You know, maybe our arguments have more merit. You thought that? He says like we've just learned so much about different things and all these little arguments. It's like, okay.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's called physics.
It's debating. It's like, come on.
Dude, if he would never debate me though.
No, I don't think so.
I heard he's like he wears platform shoes and bro.
Who are you hearing that from?
Somebody exposes him on the internet and says that he only takes pictures with people he knows are shorter, and he claims to be like 6'1", but he wears platform shoes and all this weird stuff. But
here, we'll watch this one. This is Robot Polisher. By the way, you should subscribe to him. He's putting out great little clips. Where I don't know where he sits around all day and just gets these clips because
dude, I don't know how he's doing it.
Neither do I. But I'll take it anytime that happens. This one here. I'll move this over here for you. Yeah, we'll just watch this real quick. Be right back with you. Okay, enjoy. Here we go. Go. All right, there we go.
Up at this point that it is ridiculous. And I mean, I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling positive. I don't know about you, but when I see the comments and all of this gaslighting, people are not buying it anymore. They're not. The narrative is crumbling. People are finally waking up.
If you had 3 PhDs in astrophysics over here and you had 3 flat earthers next to them and they were doing a debate, the flat earthers would win every single time. I was wondering, like, how is this flat earth thing like catching steam? Because it's obviously the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And you start to realize, well, the reason why is because a small group of people have become very good debaters.
Note why every globist person will come up here without a really good argument and have any peace and kindness. I mean, it's a joke watching it anymore. Once in a while, you might have somebody that might have a little bit of emotional intelligence, but notice what you're doing to these people. You're bringing out the ugly. You're ripping off the mask because that cognitive dissonance is getting shaken up.
I got a threshold, Jules. I got a threshold for the abuse that I would take. Now, right now, I'm a fucking race car, right? And you got me in a red. And I'm just saying that it's fucking dangerous to have a race car in a fucking red. That's all. I could blow.
E-dubs, please take over because I'm losing. I'm gonna blow a gasket here, please.
You absolute fucking monster! The Earth is not flat. 1,000%. The Earth is not flat.
You do know that grounding is neutral, right?
Hey, I'm talking, buddy. Hey, I'm talking. No need to rage and cry. I'm talking. Let me get my point out.
They were wrong. They were wrong.
Why?
It's simple.
P-dubs, calm down.
Hold on, calm down, Craig. Before you rage, you're gonna get clipped. You're gonna get clipped. Rage.
X.
I told him when he first opened his mic, I said, don't get emotional. He just keeps getting emotional.
Am I getting emotional? What part of me is getting emotional?
It's not a good look.
Oh, you ready to blow? Yeah, I'm ready to blow.
And I say, let's keep pushing it.
It's a fallacy, whatever it is.
At what altitude can you guarantee me curvature? Guarantee with the horizon that's horizontal.
Yeah, horizontal, which means level with the...
Horizontal doesn't mean level with a curve. Horizontal means horizontal.
The classic flirt thing of always confusing level with flat.
Level just means as close to the center of the Earth as possible.
Level literally means level.
Well, actually, level
literally means a curved surface. Level means flat. You don't have measurements of... level means curved.
You just said level means flat, bro. You just said it.
Level means curved. You don't have...
They've all just kind of decided, like, okay, well, this is the fallacy we're going to use for this argument.
How the fuck can you have a pressurized system like
outer space begins? We just know that those extremely sparse gases gradually fade out into a vacuum.
So easy to show that, gravity is the container.
Gravity specifically contains the Earth's atmosphere.
Gravity holds it like our gas in.
Sometimes I have to question with me getting drug into debates about, flat Earth or Holocaust deniers or whatever. Like, is it worth me getting into these debates? I'm debating actual science, and the other side is so convincing because they're so flashy and they make really good YouTube posts.
Or maybe we just have a stronger position.
It can be a robot polisher.
Are you saying everybody else is wrong and you people are the only ones who are right?
We got work to do. That's a great video. Absolutely great. Yeah, I'm laughing. They said in that we need some sort of training class or something. Do they realize that the training class was called school?
Yeah,
they had their opportunity.
We've been through that.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we
like
saw it.
You guys indoctrinated children with a belief that you taught after science. You told us about the scientific method. And we all said, ooh, wow, that does seem really cool. And then you introduced a bunch of things you called science and left out the fact that one of them is missing many of the steps of the scientific method. And that's a problem because now we're at this age and now we're saying, okay, so if you guys just screwed up in your teaching or whatever, Neil deGrasse Tyson likes to say it's a problem with the American education system. It's like, yeah, well, you guys write the textbooks. So what are you talking about? So if people now aren't believing something that you tried teaching us when we were children, then maybe you should look at the way you taught it and realize that you were missing facts and evidence and things that people can actually bring to the table besides just calling each other names, saying refraction, saying gravity. And that's what people are realizing. People are realizing that that's all you have is these magical words which seem to fix everything. And it's not the way that we do science. It's never the way. You would never do what you've done with like dark matter and dark energy and the fact that we're just placeholders mathematically and we just go on like everything's perfect when there's such drastic changes that need to be made. Like the universe might not be expanding at all. And I mean, things like that are hugely important. And you guys have just skated right past them. And now the universe is expanding and everything. So, well, that's because you had to stay away from being in the middle. And so you've done this big song and dance. And people always say, like, if there's two possibilities, then science should explore both of them. And we know that's not what happened. There was two possibilities. One that they said could not be debunked by observations. And that's the one with the Earth at its center. They said it cannot be debunked, but we must avoid it at all costs. We have to stay away from the absolute horror of a unique position. And that's not science. That's not science. And then if you just take everything from there and you go off and do a bunch of crazy nonsense and it starts having to add all these, it's basically, who was I listening to yesterday? I'm going to bring up that video if I can find it. But the guy was talking about epicycles, the epicycles of Ptolemy, right? And so he was saying that basically they just kept adding epicycles because you can always correct what's going on in the cycle in the sky if you just keep adding epicycles. And that's what they basically did until Copernicus came around and he gave his new idea and then everybody went in that direction. But we're back to where we were, which is now they're just adding dark matter, dark energy. Oh, the expansion. They're just adding things that are not science to just say, oh, I'm going to make this hypothesis. And because it fits what we see, so we'll just continue with it. We're just going to, oh, well, if dark matter was there, wouldn't it be correct? Okay, then dark matter must be there. But that's not science. And so this is why they backed themselves into a pretty bad corner. And I think something's going to happen in our lifetime. I think something's going to break through. And I think, but one thing I keep trying to get across to people, I mentioned it in my chat this morning, is that if you just think of this real quick. Space industry is $580 billion a year. Okay. Now we don't know what those numbers mean. We kind of get a little confused, but if you take all of Hollywood, and that means all of movies and home box office and DVD sales and Blu-ray across the world, and you add that to music, Spotify, any kind of music sale that you can imagine, add it to that. Add that to video games, and I'm talking console games, apps, your phone apps, any kind of video game at all. Add to that the NFL. Add to that Major League Baseball. Add to that the NBA. Add to that the NHL. Add to that golf. Add to that the economy of golf across the world. And you have not yet equaled space. So this is what people don't get is that,
wow,
imagine if we lost all that tomorrow. Imagine if you woke up and we had no more movies, no more TV, no more TV sales. That's home box office. No more, or home entertainment. There's no more music. There's no more video games at all. There's no more NFL. There's no more baseball. There's no more basketball. There's no more hockey. There's no more golf. Can you imagine a day where we would wait? That's the equivalent economically of losing space. And people don't get that. People just skate right past it. They don't realize that this holds the economy up. It's what holds the economy. They've just got a bunch of people who are playing pretend. Nobody goes to space. Again.
Because it's understood as like the forefront of human knowledge.
Correct. It's like you're always aiming for it, right? You're always you're trying to get there.
If space was real, it would be the forefront of human knowledge, I guess, right? I mean, you would think you'd still focus on the Earth a lot, like the oceans and stuff, but that's why it's so captivating. People associate it with like
growth, human growth, right?
Our actual progression as a.
Well, maybe, but if we're stuck here, the human growth is supposed to be with each other, with society, with families, with communities. and they've just completely bypassed that. You know,
Well, have you seen the Matthew McConaughey Super Bowl commercial?
No. Which one's that one?
Here, I'll show you. But so basically, could I share a screen? Or me to just send it to you?
No, sure.
Okay. So there's two ways to go about this, right? So I was going to bring up. There is, of course, Eric Weinstein on Joe Rogan talking about how like relativity is wrong. Everyone knows it. They just got to let it go, whatever. So one way is to keep their space thing alive. They just change everything. So maybe they say, maybe geocentric. Doubt it though. But like electric universe, plasma universe, relativity's wrong, and they start walking it back. I asked Bob about this like 2-3 years ago. Here, let me share my screen. And so that's one thing. And like I said, that dude's kind of coming out, seemingly prepping for that.
Will not let you?
Yeah, I'm going to right now.
Okay, sorry. So say that again, just the end part. You said, who said that the speed of light is wrong?
Well, not the speed of light, but just relativity. So Eric Weinstein, he's on Joe Rogan. It's like a 7-minute video where he's talking about how they're wrong about relativity, and everyone kind of knows it, and he's explaining why. And so that's like a 7-minute clip. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, what does he say about it?
Well, he just says that like it's been known for a while that it doesn't work. He gives a few examples, and he said that people are basically afraid to speak out against it.
Yep.
And
makes all the sense.
But everyone knows it's wrong. It's like the elephant in the room, and that we have to move on. And he's like, I'm tired of it, Joe. I'm getting pissed, and all this stuff. So it's just interesting because they are going to have to move away. If they keep anything kind of like it is, they have to move away. But I think that another thing is, oh, look, the lander tipped over. Something dangerous happened. We can't be sending people up there. And then this commercial right here may be their other direction, right? I think it's either or. And you'll probably see what I'm saying when I play it, but it's just a minute long. All right. I guess make sure you can hear it.
No.
You might not can hear it.
You might have to share with sound.
Yes, let me share it again.
And after this, we'll head over to Rockfin for the final hour. So get ready to move on over there. Mods, if you'd put the link, if you could. And we'll head over there after this and get to talk a little bit more candidly.
And a big thank you to Frank W. over on Rockfin. He corrected me. Yeah, Florida is also considered subtropical. So subtropical is either side of the tropics.
Above or below. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
This is because what's below mean on a globe? Okay, this is a Super Bowl commercial. Okay.
Space, the boundary of human achievement, the new frontier.
It's not time to escape. It's time to engage. It's time to plant more trees. It's time to build more trust. Time to make more space for all of us. So while the others look to the metaverse and Mars, let's stay here and restore ours. Yeah, it's time to blaze our trail. Because the new frontier, it ain't rocket science. It's right here.
Wow, I'm surprised they let that on there.
Wow.
That was the ends with the globe. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't watch any of the Super Bowl, so I didn't even pay attention to the ads, but I can't believe they let that go.
This may have been a year ago.
Oh, last year's?
Year or 2 years ago, yeah. But
they wouldn't let me use FE Frontier as a map name. I couldn't use the word frontier as I don't know why.
Couldn't use frontier?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
There's a bunch of words on there that are, and we learned Thursday on GLOBEBUSTERS Tech that cymatic, the word cymatics, when I was typing it in my phone to send a message to Cami, it kept saying that I misspelled it. And I was like, I know that's how you spell it.
Wow, really?
And she has, a dictionary that Bob got her. That's like every word dictionary, like it's a 30-pound book. It's huge. It's bigger than any Bible I've ever seen. And it's not in that dictionary either.
Yo, bro, watch this while we're at it, bro. This is 30 seconds. This is another Super Bowl commercial from 2022.
Okay.
stuff. We love stuff, and there's some really great stuff out there. But I doubt that any of us will look back on our lives and think, I wish I'd bought an even thinner TV, found a lighter light beer, or had an even smarter smartphone. Do you think any of us will look back on our...
Bro, are you kidding me right now?
Wish I'd bought an even thinner TV, found a lighter light beer, or had an even smarter smartphone. Do you think any...
They literally have astronauts hanging on wires, and then they put them in front. They over
light beer, or had an even smarter smartphone
on a screen with the globe.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy commercial?
That's crazy.
It's so
It doesn't
funny.
make any
Though.
sense.
It's funny. Whoever did it's got at least a sense of humor. Yeah,
we're everywhere.
I guess my point was, I think that they may either they completely change everything. That's a tough task, right? Like, or they just kind of shift away and they say everything's autonomous, everything's robotic. You know what they did with the moon landing was supposedly autonomous. They kind of normalize not getting legitimate pictures or videos, and they turn everyone's head away from space. And that seems like a bit of the easier option, but
yeah, I mean, I'll give you credit if they ever do start to go with flat Earth, because you said that from the very beginning. I've always thought there's no way, but who knows? Because I've also thought, you know, if you get rid of the idea of outer lands, then you can still trap people here. But you know, again, as soon as people found out you've been lying, they would all get on boats and go searching and you know, going on expeditions or some sort of journeys.
Don't let your vision of starting a small business get held back by red tape or
What is this?
Iran declares Antarctica its property in direct challenge to Biden's global treaty.
I've never seen this before.
Biden's global treaty?
Iran declares Antarctica is its treaty, bro.
Let's go live there.
So it's like, is it insane that something flat Earth related would?
No, wow. I mean, to me, it's just, I think that, I don't know how they can get away with that, because people should revolt. I mean, and if they didn't, I mean, maybe they've actually put enough fluoride into the water and they put enough Prozac into the air. Who knows? Maybe
it's crazy, man. I don't know. I mean, they could go. Geocentrism is the major thing they have to avoid, right? In my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like that's
a big deal. Yeah, but
because it's the same thing. Geocentrism is heliocentrism. It's basically got the same equal proofs. If you believe in heliocentrism, you have to believe in relativity. If you believe in relativity, then geocentrism is the same. So the fact that they push one and not the other tells you a lot.
Well, no one knows that.
No one knows.
Told them that, they would think you just are scientifically illiterate. That's what they would assume.
They would say I'm stupid.
But so that's maybe the biggest part of it, right? Oh, the Earth is like created, special in the center. Everything's moving around us. Totally different viewpoint. Immediately that opens a door up for, well, why would we assume that we're like everything else in space if we're the only thing that's in the middle?
Right.
We're obviously not like everything else. But then obviously flat Earth is like a big part of it as well, right? Like we're in a little prison circle. And so like if people knew that there may be more, they could explore.
Right.
And
okay, so when did Nazis start going to Antarctica?
40s or 30s, late 30s, I guess.
Yeah, supposedly the guy Robert Seffer. You guys heard of him?
He's the guy that stays down there or works down there.
No. But it's a guy that he covers like the fair-skinned, blue-eyed people that were removed from history. He tracks back, like Iran is Aryan. That's why there's so many people with blue eyes in Iran. And he tracks back. He showed like, one of the oldest mummies ever found was a girl with the pharaoh was red hair. Blah, blah, blah. That's what he normally talks about. Everyone's telling me he just did an incredible video on Antarctica covering the Nazis, them going down there, UFOs. He claims that supposedly they're still there, and a lot of stuff that people call aliens are just like the advanced Germans.
Which sounds right. I mean, they had that Bell system, and I've seen tons of reports of people who saw it actually work. I actually read reports of people who saw that they were actually doing that around the area of Peenemünde. And then, we act like it was almost like it was designed to go get those Nazi scientists too. And they came back, and it wasn't just space. They also brought back a bunch of doctors who were doing mind control. And
all kinds.
Yeah. And they were in the camps doing mind control on the prisoners, and then they came to America
MK Ultra.
Yeah, and they got new names and new jobs and it's crazy. Iran set up a base. That's hilarious if they do.
Big shout out to Flat Earth Eric Daly.
Eric, thank you.
Over on Rockfin. Said,
Eric,
did Robot Polisher forget to include Jim Fetzer in the Rage Against Effie videos? Could have been epic. Yeah, Fetzer flipped out for sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk
Maybe
to
in a
this
future
vile
one.
guy, Austin Whitsitt. He just comes there and tells me lie after lie. How you say anything bad about Dave McKagan?
Yeah, you're too good at that, dude. You gotta you know how they say that we're crazy for saying that Antarctica is guarded? Like, why is Antarctica guarded? It's guarded to protect its unique
Dude, this
environment.
is how dumb they are, Austin. They say, well, we don't have enough boats to guard it all. Like, there's no such thing as tripwires. Like, these guys don't have radar. Like, they don't have ways of knowing that boats are going past a certain point. Like, you could seriously, they have undersea cables, tons of them. All you would need is one wire that goes across the ocean that you would be able to be alerted when anybody goes across it. It would be that simple. Like,
buoy systems, all kinds of stuff out there.
It's just ridiculous that people act like, and then they'll like tell us like they believe that we're on Mars running remote control cars. But if I say that they use cloud data and punch it in, and 15 minutes later outputs onto Himawari 8, they're like, that's impossible. It's impossible. They could never do that. What are you talking about?
Dude, imagine having to lie. Like, even if you Google it, why is Antarctica guarded? The generative AI will tell you exactly why. It's right here. It's guarded to protect the environment, blah, blah, blah. Why are we not allowed to go to Antarctica? Antarctica is not a country. The continent is protected by the Antarctic Treaty, which preserves it for peaceful and scientific use. Why are they protecting Antarctica? It's a remarkable... these are the British Antarctic Survey.
Yeah.
Antarctica is important for science because of its profound effect on the Earth's climate.
And then you get these guys
so why
lying
is it illegal
about
to
it.
fly
Like,
over Antarctica?
McToon and stuff will have a video where he'll just say, you can go. Anybody can go. Just go. It's like, dude, you have to fill out a whole EPA report that is a minimum $1 million to submit this report, and you might get denied. So who the hell's going to go?
We're not saying nobody can go stand on the shoreline of Antarctica. We're saying we can't go explore freely, into Antarctica as far as we want and just look around. You're not allowed to do that.
Even though
there's boats that'll go there and land at some place, and you'll take a little boat and see some penguins and this and that, and actually step foot on that little part of the continent that pokes out.
Bro, this says, have you ever heard you're not allowed to go to Antarctica if you have wisdom teeth?
Yes.
What?
I've heard that. The military makes you have them removed if you go and you're stationed in Antarctica.
Wow.
You can't go to, because dental infections can become dangerous quickly. So quickly that those who develop a wisdom tooth infection while in Antarctica may not be able to reach proper medical care before serious damage.
So can you go there if you have a heart? Because what if you have a heart attack?
I don't know. It's just so weird to me that that's a thing.
So
it's
stupid.
like, well, you can only go to Antarctica if you don't have wisdom teeth, for starters. What?
Well, I'm in so far.
Yeah, I know, and that sucks because I remember I almost teared up one day. I saw a video covering the wisdom teeth deception.
I know, it's very sad.
I still have mine.
I don't like to think about that stuff.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, I literally I have to cog this out or something. It's rough.
Yeah, it's bad. But,
bro, no one's touching my children's teeth. I'll tell you that much. Like, no one's pulling teeth out the back of their face, bro. Like, just not happening.
No, even when you think about it now, it's like it's scary that we ever... Well, our parents let us do that. Let them do that to us. We're going to go.
The craziest part is, that when it starts to go to the pain, it rewires your brain.
Yeah, and you're probably supposed to do that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's clearly it's for it's like you're supposed to really grow up there. It starts hurting and it rewires your brain, and it also happens to women when they give birth.
Right.
But like, why would you remove this natural effect? That's like beautiful. It's like, look, I'm going to help you grow up now, and
it does suck. No, it does.
The pain.
I still feel the pain every few years, man. It sucks. Big shout out to Dakota Dunn. $20.
It sucks.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing sucks.
Oh, I bet it had to suck to have them pulled out.
You've had a couple of vaccines too, right? Just making sure you know that.
Dude, you want to hear something I found out, bro?
Let's go to Rockfin. Let's go to Rockfin.
Yeah, we better.
We're going to Rockfin. We'll see you guys over there. Thank you, everybody. YouTube.
Yeah, come on over.
Links there. Go there. It's free, and you should sign up for $15 anyway. You support me. You support Zach. You support Austin. You support Crow. You support Owen. You name it. You support us all when you go over there and sign up. It's at rockfin.com/GoBusters or /Witsit or /Jeran or /whatever you want, whoever you want to support. But we all get a piece of the pie. All right, see you guys over there. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Much love, and we'll see you next week. Peace. All right, go ahead. You may continue.
It's kind of sad. Like, my birth mom was kind of crazy, and turns out she took me to get repeat vaccinations. She couldn't keep up with the ones I'd had.
Oh, you mean? Oh my God! So you
Sorry.
mean like you got one, and then you're supposed to get the next one, but you didn't get it, so you had to go back and get it again?
Yeah, I was getting the same vaccine more than once.
Dude, my little brother,